Welcome back to another episode of Ecosystem Insights, where Fez and myself, David, talk about the latest development in the Icon ecosystem. We'll start with an apology for missing last month's edition. It's exactly 2 months ago since we dropped episode 6.
How could
Um,
you, David? How could you?
busy, 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 and enough stuff to talk about. So I suppose we'll just hop right in and start looking at what's been happening inside the Icon ecosystem.
No, hello, how are you, David? Come on, man. It's been 2 months. You just said so. No, I agree with you. We can chit chat all day, but what we're trying to do here is bring out what's been happening. So,
Yeah, and if you want to let us know how you are, Fez, maybe just work it into the next piece.
okay. Okay. Well, the next piece, just very quickly, the other day someone requested some CSV files, for tax purposes. It got requested in the Iron Icon chat. Paul whipped this together and it's on the website now. So if you do need this, hey, go to the website. There's one catch. You got to have a couple of I-Doge NFTs. I'm a big fan of these I-Doge NFTs having a bit of utility, but
And how does that make you feel?
me, great. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of I-Doge NFTs.
Yeah, well, and I'm a big fan of CSV wallet exports, so this is all coming together nicely.
It's
If
a
you go
win-win.
to ionicon.xyz/export, I don't know if tax season is coming up yet, but if you need like an export of all your wallet transactions, this is where you can pop in your address and pull out that export. It's routed through the tracker, I believe. So
Yeah.
it's nifty functionality. And yeah, it does check if your wallet holds 2 I-Doge NFTs. If it doesn't, you won't be able to export. And if it does, you can. So who knew?
Who knew?
When I-Doge dropped with its token, with now its linked utility earning BST token from the Blobble project. Now you're getting CSV exports. I think I-Doge holders might be the richest in the Icon ecosystem.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Okay, let's keep moving on. Cool little functionality. Look, David, is this month? It's the month of the penguin, isn't it?
It is. It is cold. It is cute, and it's iconic. It is the month of
Nice.
the penguin. The Penguin project has previously launched their website, but hadn't launched their app yet, which has now been launched. And they're doing it with this big campaign where they're giving away ICX and their NFTs from the upcoming launch. And what you need to do as a community member is like and share. Now, what are we liking and sharing? The good people at Penguin have approached us and a lot of other like Icon community members and said, "Hey, can we give you a personalized penguin?" And we were like, "Yes, you can." And they were like, "Okay, here it is, but we would like you to partake in our campaign." And what we're doing is every day right now, you're seeing another penguin pop up somewhere. Change your profile picture into the penguin, and you'll see a post. And if you like and share those posts, you're in the running for these prizes. And what we're looking at right now is Arosh, our community manager on the Discord side, responsible for a lot of things community related, with his customized penguin that has a ball on the head, which is a Gunners Arsenal football. Fez, that is soccer for you, I guess,
Okay.
and
Yep. Yeah.
a dragon or a Komodo there.
Oh.
If you go onto Twitter and kind of look around, you'll see that mine has dropped. It looks quite like me actually, and John's has dropped, and there will be a new one today. I don't know which one that is, but over the next like 10-15 days, I guess you'll see more and more. And if you like, repost, comment, uh you're in the running for ICX prizes and penguin NFTs. And then the
Did you know Arash was a big dinosaur fan? I didn't. Like,
I I
it's very revealing.
I I, I knew. It doesn't
Ah.
bother me at all because yeah, my interest in football isn't very high. But back in the day when I was like a little 7-year-old playing football, I had this little like baggie that my football shoes would go into,
Uh-huh.
and it had the Arsenal logo on it. So by default, I identified as an Arsenal fan back then. So from my 7th until my 9th I was a big Arsenal fan. Yeah, I'd never seen a match or a player, or didn't even know which colors they would play in. But that logo on my shoes bag kind of brought me into that sphere. So I
are you
identify with Arosh.
okay, but are you sure you're still not a soccer fan? Because I said I didn't know Arosh was a dinosaur fan, and you really took that statement and latched on to soccer, which is telling me there's a deep, dark secret in you. A real soccer fan.
I thought, roll back the tape. I thought you said Gunners. I thought you said Gunners.
Oh, no. Well, I hope I did. Okay.
Okay.
Here we
Well,
go.
yeah. When I was like, not from 9 to 10, I had this little backpack with a dinosaur on it. So I say that back then.
Okay, there you go. Yes, now it's
Big
relevant. Okay,
dinosaur
that makes
fan,
sense.
and
Yeah,
maybe Arosh still has that backpack. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, we must quiz him about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll ask him in the comments there. Maybe in for a prize as well.
Oh yes.
Explain,
Yes.
please.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
on the topic of Penguin, yeah, click that
Yeah.
next tab, because this is actually the app that has now launched for Penguin. It's been built in collaboration with Framed, which we all know. And what you do here is you have a look at the Penguin Investment Fund.
Mm.
In the vaults section, there's a My Wallet section. There's a mint section where you can mint NFTs. And what the NFTs with Penguin do is they give you your share of the returns of the investment fund. And the investment fund is currently, well, there's a lot of elements to this, and I would recommend anyone to read the Penguin white paper, which is essentially a Git book with all the information in there, what earns what, which NFTs earn which share of which vault. And a more interesting functionality, I think, well, on the vaults going forward, like these are all like icon ecosystem investments,
Mm.
which is, first of all, interesting. We recognize this from the icon asset management has done a similar thing since forever, where you can get your share of icon ecosystem investments. It's quite exciting with all the interoperability coming into play, these days, in the next like couple of months, like hopefully still towards the end of the year, where this could go, right? Because it looks great, but what if all of a sudden other types of tokens, other types of investment vaults start popping up? It's quite a cool proposition where you say, hey, instead of buying 20 tokens in a certain from a certain space or ecosystem, I'm just going
Mm.
to step into the investment vault and have my exposure like that. So that could become very interesting. And then there's this other element, which is essentially a referral program that on screen you can't really see because you have to connect your wallet. What it does is it allows you as a user to generate a referral link to a certain NFT collection, if you will. And at the moment, when I log in, I can see the Yeti what is it, apartments collection, like the Yeti on the hills where you put the
Yeah.
houses,
The farms.
the farms. That's what it is. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, where you stake your you stake your Yeti in the
Yeah.
farms, and that like calculates your return. So that NFT project and the Penguin project itself, you're able to generate referral links to it where you set your commission. And I think the default commission is like 5%. So if you're a community member and you feel like you can bring on other people um, to grow the community, but also for your own benefit, you can actually, get these referral links generated, and they will do the magic. They will send
Mm.
5% commission to your wallet when you get people to sign up. So for projects in the future as well, it's just a powerful uh, tool or trick. It's not like a functionality that you can otherwise find very easily. I know that we've talked about it with Blobble kind of giving advice saying, hey, it would be smart if there was some sort of referral system,
Mm.
but we don't know how to do that, do we, Fez?
No.
Penguin does, and they've built it
Mm.
in right here. So
I know.
that's another nifty feature of the Penguin app that is, I would say in launch mode, because it's open, it's out there, but I don't think I could generate them yet. Maybe tomorrow we can.
I wonder if we can collaborate somehow with this. Anyway,
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah.
yeah. Cool. I know we know he's going to be listening to this, so that's just a little slide in there. But okay, carry on,
Yeah.
David.
Well, that's really it. And lastly, I actually met the chief in
Oh,
Istanbul
yes.
like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, we had a meal and we talked about all of this and all of what lies in the future and where it
Yeah.
can go, which was really cool. So yeah, chief is cool, and yeah, so is this.
Sounds like a lot of alpha right there that you're holding back on. Okay, well, we'll do a debrief session that's exclusive, strictly you and me, and I'll record it for everyone. But we don't need to tell David that. Okay, let's. So this is the actual part where you can mint. When the mints come, you don't need to go to craft. You can actually come into the app itself, which is cool. Completely built-in ecosystem for you to see. And you know what, David? What struck me, we were exploring. I told David, you cover the penguin stuff because he's been across it in more detail. But the second I saw the vaults, everything the chief talked about in our recorded podcast, I was like, visually now it all makes sense. I can see numbers, I can see figures. Okay, I can kind of now understand all the things he was saying. It's so what a visual representation does for a
Yeah,
project, right?
and it's like a more advanced usage of like NFT tech. So an
Yes.
NFT is just it's a token that you cannot like. There's only one of it. One. There's one NFT. That's why it's
Yep.
non-fungible. And before NFTs was like, oh, here's 10,000 profile pictures, and you have one of them, and you only have that one. So that's like the world of NFTs,
Mm,
and this is essentially like the NFT represents your share in these investment vaults, and
mm.
the fact that they've linked them to cute Nordic penguins or whatever is just like a fun wink. It's a play on the NFT genre, but in
Yeah.
reality, the underlying functionality, it's essentially your share into an investment vault. So um, that makes more sense if you're from a finance perspective, right? So if there's an investment vault, investments left, right, and center, they're yielding some sort of return, and you want a share of that. You can buy into it. So it could be as boring as that, but in this case, they've combined that knowledge and that
Mm.
skill set, I suppose, with the fun side of NFTs as we've come to know it over the past like 2.5, 3 years, where
Yeah.
your ticket to the investment vault is actually also like a fun penguin, and the penguins might get some lore, and there might be some storytelling happening around that as well. But at the end of the day, it's not just an image. This is what
Mm.
backs it up, and like you said, it's all explained in that interview we did with the chief. It's all
Yeah.
in the white paper, and it was all in your head, and right now it has clicked.
Yeah. Boom. Clicked. Ooh, Treasury Vault. That's pretty cool. And you can get an explainer. Okay. I think we've done a solid coverage of Penguin and the month that is in October, which is officially Penguin month. Next thing, because it's been a while, we should cover, if you didn't know this already, so balanced, there's active development going on to get balanced launched on Archway soon. That is going to utilize xCall, and we'll touch on that in a moment. But uh, I love this post. If you didn't know, it's BNUSD related and creating a bit of a savings rate. Now, Scott kind of articulates this in the post, and a quick summary of how it will all work. But one thing he does call out is they're not groundbreakingly innovating here. They're following what tried and true works, and that is MakerDAO and DAI. DAI at the moment is offering 8% in savings rate, and this is not by just minting ridiculous tokens to offset it. No, it's from revenue, and the second thing it's from is treasury bills that they have acquired. They have a buttload of it that is generating revenue, and that revenue then is being used to pass on as a savings rate, which is encouraging DAI to be minted or DAI to be bought and housed to earn interest. So using the same concept, this is what this proposal is about. But what I really loved, David, was like, people who've been following, there's been a lot of RWA, real yield promotion, and maybe people are getting worried. I don't know, like a few DMs here and there. People were just, hey, is it related to Icon and things like that? So in the case of real yield, we know that they're looking to launch in on Avalanche. and it's not Icon, that's a different chain, but the goal is there to start using some of the Icon products, right? And here's a great, before that product has actually launched, you're seeing Balance already being able to utilize what Real Yield will start to do. So that Real Yield will offer, real world assets, and one of them being T-bills if you actually use a prototype that had got released a few months back. I did play with it right at the end, so it was cool. It was a smooth experience, very easy. So Scott's kind of going to collaborate between these two projects and use those treasury bills the same way MakerDAO has to generate yield and then create a savings rate for BNUSD. And there's a few other mechanics to it. So it's but in a nutshell, that's how it works. So
yeah.
This was really cool. I'm excited to see. I know Balance is a little bit in a weird spot at the moment, just because post-incident, but there's some solid plans in place to get things on track as well. So actually, I should have launched a show. I didn't load it up. Next recording, oh well, it'll be out. Everyone will see how Balanced works on Archway, which I got a sneak peek at. I'm super excited about it. But that's not what we're talking about, right, David?
It's not, but I would say keep an eye on Balanced and what it's doing, because it's kind of like on the frontier of what Icon as a layer one is building out, and the whole interoperability like angle. Balanced is the first mover here, and it's really opening up everyone's eyes. Every time a new piece of UI drops, people see it and go like, this is what everyone was talking about. So I guess that's what's going to be happening, and that's exciting. And then we can show it like in the next show as well.
Yeah, and it will be, because just as I had the penguin aha moments ago in this very recording, same thing happened to me when I actually used the Balanced prototype of how it will work with Archway, because I've heard it talked about and I knew how things are going to work, but until I actually saw it, I was like, oh. And then we're going to talk about the Icon as Twitter Spaces, but that was a really good Twitter Spaces. We had people from Archway on and stuff, and we talked about that, and I actually spoke about some of the use cases Balance will present using the xCall functionality. Like the dApp itself will kind of evolve to not just an AMM. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay, let's jump. Okay, David, as we were getting ready to record, you said, yes, pull up the blogs. I feel like you were playing a trick on me to see if I noticed. David was like, pull up the blogs. Let's talk about the winners of the incentivized testnet, xCall.
Indeed.
So off I went. I pulled up the blog, and I was like, I scrolled down. I'm like, David, what's wrong with the blog? And I could feel David be upset at me because I didn't take notice of all the sweeping changes that have happened. And then I suddenly went, holy crap, this looks great. So what's going on here, David? Why am I missing a blog?
You're on the icon.community website, which is essentially Icon ecosystem community destination. So this is where you would find everything you want to find about like the Icon layer one.
Cool.
And that goes from like what's in this ecosystem, but also like what are projects doing, what blogs do they have out there, what's the current Icon price, what's the staking rate, just a lot of information. But we've recently, I think it's been like a month or two ago now, launched like the new and improved icon.foundation website, and the foundation is in the background funding the Icon layer one project and more. Like the foundation is not the same as the Icon blockchain, right? So the foundation has a different role. The blogs that were appearing on the icon.community website were always written by the foundation. It was news coming from the foundation. So in reality, like that belongs on the foundation website, because the author of all these blogs is the foundation. It's foundation messaging, so it belongs on the Icon Foundation website. On the Icon community website, you would find tutorials, learn articles, from the community, that get published
Mm.
there. So that's why it's moved. So right now you'll notice that in the blog section on icon.community, you'll find links to community blogs. So Craft has their own interface, Balance does, Ohm, Penguin does. A lot of them are using Medium or they host it themselves. Ion Icon does it. And then, yeah, if you just follow the link, you'll end up on the new blog section where the foundation blogs get posted, and which is here. And yeah, if you just hit blog, it'll get you there.
I was just checking out this cool site. Very cool. Okay.
It's been designed by Rook, who we know as Iconograph on Twitter. He
Legend.
takes care of
Yes.
the styling and the design and the and all that. So this is where the blogs are at now. And what we were actually going for is the blog post announcing the winners of the xCall incentivized testnet program. So you'll
Yeah.
find that, yeah, that's where it is.
Oh. Oh.
You can actually hit that button and it'll like transport the blog and have you tweeting about it. So if
And
you
it
want to hit post,
literally writes, oh my God. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
just post it, man.
Boom. Okay. Uh,
2 clicks.
Wow.
2 clicks.
It's a pretty cool. Oh, consider me impressed. And it does this for every article?
Yeah. And yeah, if you just scroll down on this one in particular, the topic here really is the xCall incentivized testnet that we ran has concluded. Lots of submissions and teams participating, and the winners have kind of been selected, which is the news that we were going to address in the first place. It's kind of old news because this happened like a month ago, but as previously mentioned, we missed out on an episode. And I guess what's interesting here is that um, amongst like these winners, there's really interesting um, ideas and projects that would help xCall further down the line. So there are active conversations with these teams and projects to see how can we take your idea, your MVP, your winning project, and build that further for the benefit of xCall and our interoperability value proposition. So that's what's kind of going on now after these winners have been announced in the
Mm.
background. Yeah.
I do remember this in CPS, just in the recent round. I didn't realize at the time it was something that had won one of the xCall competitions. I do remember frantically running around trying to understand what the heck it was they were trying to build. Even though it's quite clear, I was trying to understand. I knew it was an ENS name, so I was trying to piece it. Was it an ENS? Exactly that kind of functionality, or but anyway, but this is kind of cool because this is something that was always lacking in those hackathons, right? We had all this work done, and then nothing ever translated to.
Yeah. So indeed, the way it works is in this case, like Foundation sets up this incentivized testnet, saying, "Hey, these are the categories. This is kind of what we're looking for. Here's descriptions. Build
Mm,
something that fits this description, and you're in the running."
mm,
So then something gets built,
yeah,
and then you could stop and say, "Thanks, everyone." Shake some hands, and we'll never see each other again. Or you can do essentially another round where you say, "Hey, that's really cool. Thanks. Could you improve it in this, that, or this direction?" And then bring it to CPS, for example, right? And have the
mm,
validators vote on its importance and if we can bring it through the funding. And I suppose that's what's happening now,
yeah.
to a certain
Uh,
extent with some of the projects.
Yeah, even I can speak actually. This xCall tracker, was it X or XCan? One of these, I can't remember now. They're similar. If there were links in here, that would have been fantastic.
Mm,
But yeah, I'm actually in a group talking to that dev and their team to see if we can collaborate further with xCall's expansion over IBC and stuff. So I want to get all those chains. So to what you're saying, it's like, yeah, we could have the current dev teams that are already building out xCall and things like that, but it's ideally they should stay focused on that key product and all this extended tooling. If we can start pulling in some of these great submissions we've seen, and I'm in a
Yeah.
chat with that individual and team and with Eric, and we're trying to work through, given a bit of an extended scope, to see if it's feasible, and then that will eventually hit CPS to get funded and built out. So
Yeah. Yeah, if it's Techiast, I met with him the other day. Funny story. I was at the Cosmoverse conference in Istanbul. This is where I met
yeah,
with Chief Penguin as well. And one of the booths in like one of the main areas was the Ledger booth, and it had the
mm,
guys from Ledger, the hardware wallets. And I had a chat with them, and I asked them about our icon in Ledger Live integration, which
yeah,
has been kind of like in the books for a year now. I was like, where is that at? Like, can we fast track it, or can we get back on track? And they were pretty like welcoming, and showed me a bit of insight into their processes, and we kept in touch. And then I think it was yesterday we had a call with Techias, who actually built the ICX implementation for Ledger Live, and all this time it's kind of been queued
mm,
um, for review. So like they did all the work, and it was all like labeled as great, perfect, good. And the last step was for Ledger to review it, but it was
yeah,
in a queue, like a review queue.
yeah,
Um, and now it's been kind of kicked back into action. It's still in the queue, but we've been told it's next in line. So yeah, icon in Ledger. It's always been on Ledger, but it just hasn't been in that Ledger Live module. So if anyone
yeah,
who uses Ledger would know that that's where you can actually like access and even swap tokens and interact with them more. So if we're lucky, we might see icon finally pop up in Ledger Live in the next, or hopefully in 2023, and otherwise early next year. So that
cool.
was Techias that I spoke with.
I think it's
Um,
the xCall scan, so it wasn't TechES, but yeah. That's
uh,
exciting in itself, the Ledger Live stuff, which is
of
great to
course.
hear.
So you're chatting with Crypto Poo,
I believe so.
right?
Yes,
That's
because I do know TechES as well. So yeah, I don't believe it's him. Yeah.
all right.
Okay. Then one thing I wanted to. Oh yeah, no, cool. Okay. Anything else on this, or shall we
No, we need to move because we have
move? Move. Okay.
limited time in our
Yeah.
episode.
Then, just quickly giving a couple of things that Paul as well worked on. He took out two categories, and one of them, which I don't have loaded up, but if you're an Icon Bet fan, I would be whoever is, if anyone's doing anything in Icon Bet these days. He's actually used xCall to pull this VFR. Damn it, I get those two. It's one of those, but it's a randomizer of chain link essentially, and something that IconBet desperately needs, so that it can't be gamified, or people can't take advantage of it. Anyway, he's built this functionality through xCall, so there's a potential use case there, and it could be implemented. It's literally like ready to be used. So if there's a need and someone's listening, definitely either hit us up or chase up Paul, and we can put in contact to help out there. But this other feature is now there's a step in where you have to a transaction back has to be paid for, and what I believe Paul has done with this tool is created this to be automated, so making it a bit more of a smoother and seamless experience for the end user. A protocol could actually implement using this particular tool, which was cool to see as well.
Yeah. The way I understood it is that when you send a message cross chain, you need to execute that on the source chain, but you also
Mhm.
need to like execute the receiving on the destination chain. So it's like if you would throw a ball over a high wall, you have to throw it, but you have to run to the other side and catch it as well for it to
Mm,
arrive. And
mm,
what Paul has built here is automated catching on the other side of the wall. So essentially, you would send your message cross chain, and once it gets there, it gets received as well. So it would
yeah.
kind of like by 50% decrease the amount of transactions or interactions that you have to do. Is how I kind of had dumbed it down for myself to understand.
Yep. No, that's a real good summary. Okay, then let's keep moving. What's this? What am I looking at here?
This is a post by Alliance Block, which is a Web3 company, and we had the CTO at our meetup event last month.
Hmm.
on a panel. We had the founder of Collecti there as well. It's like a crowdfunding uh, uh, platform that uses Web3 under the hood. So it uses NFTs under the hood, but it's not necessarily like advertising that in the front end. It's just using the technology to be a better crowdfunding platform as opposed to Web 2 versions such as Kickstarter or GoFundMe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And what we do every month is like we host this meetup under the Web3 Partners flag in collaboration with Web Lab. They were more Amsterdam based, but we collaborated with them because we could use their help and expertise in doing so. Plus, together we have more energy, to keep doing this every month, and it's worked out pretty well. So we had roughly 40 like attendees last month, and the next one is scheduled for 9 days from now. Topic's going to be games in Web3, and what we do is we invite people to come over. Beautiful location, Micro Lab in Rotterdam. They have like 3 floors in this high building with windows all across the side, view of the entire Rotterdam skyline, and these rooms where you can just set up your panel setting or your speaker setting, and we kind of have an hour worth of program, a panel that we talk to the topic, we interact with the people who are there, and afterwards we kind of move to this informal, you call it a bar area, where people can get snacks and drinks and essentially network and just learn and talk about Web3. So yeah, I'm there. I'm talking about xCall a lot and what Icon is doing, and
Yeah.
other people are talking about their thing. And
Yeah.
it's cool to meet new people every month if we manage to set it up every month. I think this was the 7th edition, and I think the very first time we started like in a room with 14 people, and I remember the second edition we had literally 5 people show up, and over time it's evolved, and right now we hit 40 last time. The time before that we were around the 60, and then in 9 days we'll see how we go. But yeah, people are enjoying the concept, and they're returning for it, and we get new people signing up. So these meetups are really cool, and Alliance Block is just another one of those companies that I didn't realize were around, and that they were based in the Netherlands. So to get them on board and attending, same goes for Collecti, by the way. But this post is from Alliance Block. So yeah, if you don't know who they are, go check it out, and you might hear or see more of them in relation to xCall in the future as well. Who knows?
Cool. Okay, so just quickly, this was I guess something we need to talk about here, but this was the recent Iconist with Iconist Twitter Spaces that was hosted by Encrypto. Yeah, and we had Archway, one of the guys from Archway, come on the show as well and talk through to it. Myself and I don't know, a few others were there. It was a good Spaces, definitely. So if you haven't listened to it, definitely encourage everyone to listen to it. It was great to hear Max, from Archway, talk a lot about xCall, and obviously, he's been well schooled. I shouldn't say well schooled. I mean well versed in it, with all of us always talking about it and on different calls. So yeah, but there was something as well that we took time to break down, and this was around BTP blocks. And David, I know you wanted to spend a bit of time talking about this.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to address is the name BTP blocks and why it is not the best name for what it is. Because yeah, if community members are listening to us right now, we're pulling it up again, but moving forward, it would be good to have a better understanding. And I know that you are good at explaining that, seeing as you've had some practice on that on that
Yeah.
Spaces.
So
So
yeah.
why is BTP blocks not the best name, and why is it likely to be renamed to something else? What do they do in short, and what would you call it? Fez blocks?
Yeah, Fazbox would be good. Yeah, yeah. I think the name itself came from the old days, in terms of when we were all just solely about BTP, right? So BTP blocks was the solution that resolved those excess gas problems we had, which is essentially, in a very high level, it basically allows light clients to host light clients of other chains and offsets a bit of their fees and things like that. And that's not the best example. I've written a tweet that'll break it down, but that's essentially what it does. Now, in our implementation, for example, BTP solution is light client based. So yes, at the time we were all about BTP. Now we've taken a more, we'll offer a bunch of different interoperable solutions. One of them being IBC, which we are connected now on mainnet to Archway. So in the case of IBC is light client based as well. So when we built it in the smart contracts for IBC, when we translated it and created it as smart contracts, we utilized this piece of functionality that was built for the Icon blockchain itself. So the name BTP blocks is now kind of irrelevant, and expect to see this shift from BTP blocks to something else related to blocks, but more to what the infrastructure enables. So when someone hears a name, it's like, is that for? Yes, exactly. That's what it means. It is to host that kind of stuff and make yeah. So I did a terrible job explaining that, but I did give a bit of background and more of a detailed take in that Twitter Spaces itself. So
everyone should go and listen to Twitter Spaces is basically what
damn
you're saying.
right is what I'm saying. Yep.
Okay, well, that's after this then.
Yeah, after this. Don't drop everything right now. Like, finish this and then go. Cool. Okay. What do we got next? Oh,
this is the network proposal that passed that opened the BTP network for IBC. So basically, it enabled BTP blocks to work to do their thing with IBC, the connection we've built.
Yeah,
and this just underlines why the name shouldn't be BTP blocks, nor should it be BTP and IBC blocks. But as more connections get added in the future, you might want a more global name, maybe just blocks.
And all different integrations may not necessarily utilize this piece of infrastructure. Like you know, there could be integrations that just don't need it, so it wouldn't. But yeah, okay. Next up, so
bit of PR,
bit of press. PR. Yeah,
this is an article on essentially xCall, the Cosmos connection, really. So xCall integrating IBC to connect to Archway and Neutron on mainnet a bit further down the line. So this article went out on a bunch of platforms: Benzinga, CoinMarketCap, and here we're looking at Decrypt. So yeah, it's a decent roundup of what's been going on there for a lot of eyes to see and to read. Also call outs linking back to the websites where the information is, the xCall dev docs. So in all, a helpful piece of PR.
Damn, that looks good. Okay, I can never get over it. Cool. Okay, and then the last thing to close this off, in case everyone didn't see, I thought to quickly update. So as you know, the two big pieces we've been working on, apart from BTP, I'll talk more to the xCall integrations and IBC being one of them. We've got an Archway out the door. Neutron is done, and it looks like the end of this month we'll get it to mainnet. There's no ongoing work happening on it. It is literally now just deploying it to mainnet. But at the same time, like, we're just letting Archway stay there for a month, making sure everything's stable, and then we'll push through with the Neutron integration. But this particular board kind of talks through the next phase rather than the previous board that broke up everything in components. I did call this out maybe in the last one we did, David. I can't remember, but some of these next pieces are going to be smaller, so they're not looking like 9-month bills. So we should start to see the next phase of the xCall contracts get on more testnets and mainnets a bit quicker. So that's exciting. Even though we're coming to the tail end of the year, I suspect in November, December, we'll see a bit more activity come from this. So yeah, this is kind of a board to look at everything we got in the pipeline, and some of the cool ones I'm excited about the injective, the centralized relay I did speak to in the Twitter Spaces, but this is basically completely the opposite from what we always talk about, decentralized interoperability. The centralized relay is a completely central in like integration bridging, a central bridge basically. But it's not something the foundation will run. It's something an application like Balance or any application could run. And the way it works is they just deploy it and it will have xCall integrated by default to whichever chain we built the modules in to the central relay. At the moment, we've got Avalanche and Archway, and then we'll just keep adding modules, more chains to it. But what it does then is, like, say with Archway Balance, for example, we've got integration with Archway, Balance launches on Archway, and now they want to offer dual security that we've talked about, that dual security, send the same message twice over two different security standards. They can use IBC for one of that, which uses xCall, and then they can set up, the app can set up its own central relay as a second messaging, interoperable messaging to use xCall and send across to Archway, that way adding an additional layer of security. So if something were to go wrong and the message comes on the other side and it's not the same from both, they know there's an issue because one is completely decentralized and the other one they have complete control over, and it's closed, so no one can hack into the software, etc. So it is just creating something to enable this vision of dual verification, right? We need to show how it can be used, and then we're building that relay to make it easier for anyone and everyone to use it. The rest is self-explanatory. The hop chain is, I'll talk to that very quickly as well. So the hop chain is, they're building it in the IBC ecosystem, and it's kind of designed, it's getting some of the latest SDK standards. The team is building it, and it enables then any chain that's connected to it could potentially move assets to any chain across IBC. Now, you may be thinking, oh, that's already possible, but technically it isn't, because the IBC ecosystems is a bit different. Like, these chains, they don't necessarily have channels. For the chains to be connected to different IBC chains, they actually need to have a person who runs a relay open these channels for them and host these channels. And most of the time, or not most of the time, sometimes these channels haven't been opened because it costs money to keep the various channels open for people to move assets around. So if the relays aren't earning money, they're not going to just simply open the channels. So the hop chain they're building with a few things in mind. It's a central spot for EVMs to connect through to it and then get wider access to the IBC ecosystem. One of the reasons we're building it is so that we can actually build out and you've seen a CPS proposal by Venture 23, which is the ICS20 token transfer service. And what that, So that is, once we finish this piece, that token transfer service, then we can actually move ICX. So if you use the Cosmos ecosystem at the moment, they have several bridges, and you'll notice all the bridges, they don't have separate liquidity because anything using IBC to transfer tokens is using an app, let's label it ICS20 application. And that's why it's always the same liquidity pools. They're not creating new token wrappings or anything. It's just using the ICS20 app. And that's what's getting built, and then we'll route it through the hop chain because they're building the latest SDK technology that allows our implementation. Not SDK technology, they're using the latest SDK for Peace that will allow us to use their chain to move ICX natively around IBC if we need to or want to. So I'm quite excited. I've been quite passionate in the background working on this, making this a reality, because it creates something happens. Like, you got Neutron, you got Osmosis, for example. Like, Osmosis is a great example. We could get ICX with a couple of pairs on Osmosis natively in IBC, giving ICX further exposure in a decentralized way, in DeFi across the IBC ecosystem, which is pretty cool. And don't get me wrong, Balance will do that as well, but obviously Balance is going to be using the xCall standard for its tokens, and how Balance will mint tokens on respective chains will utilize the xCall standard. And as you know, Layer 0 has its own token set. All these interoperable solutions, they have various standards. So for adoption, it's important for Icon to be across these different ecosystems. But xCall will eventually start to kind of offer this option of, well, why have individual standards when you can use the one standard? And yeah, getting ahead of myself, but that's what that's about. And then you can see a few new features for xCall. Some new features are being worked on, which is labeled xCall 2.1. Yeah, I think that's enough. If there are questions, please, ask them in Discord. Java's been really good. A few community members have been asking, and I've been answering where possible. So if there are questions, please fire away.
Yeah.
And that's it, David.
It is the end of the line. All right. Well, if you've been listening and made it this far, please hit us up with a like and a subscribe, and send it to your family and friends. The video link. Thanks for for sticking with us through that. We'll see you next month again with an episode. Can't promise, but we are definitely well intended, the two of us. And
Yes.
is there any closing words for you on this, Fez?
No, I think exciting times ahead. I think balanced is around the corner, and that will showcase the xCall tech. Remember, we've always said that it is being built ground up to use xCall. So I've seen a few comments. Oh, we've done all this, but who's using it? Balance is the flagship app that will showcase it, and already a lot of conversations happen in the background, but we can actually then go, hey, check out this application, use it. This is on a different blockchain, use it. And when they use it and go, oh, what's happening here in the background? Well, actually, it's using xCall to send messages to Icon and then do everything you can imagine that you're seeing right now. And it creates this much easier to pitch, use our product where it's seen in action. So exciting times ahead. That's all, David. That's all.
All right. Well, thanks. See each other soon. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.